In this one, we have 4 chapters. Okay. And we will understand first string structure, then its methods, then mutable strings, and finally string formatting. Okay. So we will also see that how strings actually work in memory, the methods you will use constantly. Okay. And why our strings are immutable and what to do when immutability becomes a problem. So let's go with first one, string anatomy. In C or C++, a string is just an array of characters. In Java, a string is a full object. Okay, so Java did full separate implementation for string. Java provide highly optimized implementation and methods, okay, to work with strings. It is the most used class in Java and the language heavily optimized it. To truly understand strings, you need to understand how they are managed in memory. So first one is creating strings. We have 2 ways. We can create strings in 2 ways. They behave differently in memory. Okay, first one is the literal way, and this one is recommended. This is the standard approach. Use this in almost all cases. So string s1 equals to hello. Okay, we can define that with double quotes. All right, second one is the object way, and this one is not recommended, and we will discuss why that one is not recommended. This forces Java to create a completely new object bypassing the string pool optimization. This one will create new object in your memory. If you have already that string in your memory, it doesn't matter. It will create new object. And to understand how strings work, we need to understand one important concept, which is string pool. The string pool or string constant pool. String pool is a special memory area that allows Java to reuse string objects. The string pool is a special memory area that allows Java to reuse string objects. When you create a string using literal, Java checks the string pool. If hello already exists in the pool, then Java returns a reference to the existing object. And if hello does not exist, then Java creates it in the pool and returns a reference to it. This saves significant memory. Let's say if you have 1K objects, all reference to the string John, then Java stores John only once in the pool. Okay. The new keyword bypasses the pool. When you use new string hello, Java creates a new object in the main heap memory even if hello already exists in the pool. This is a wasteful and should be avoided. Okay. So we have very simple rule here. Always use literals. The pool optimization is there for a reason. And in a real application with thousands of strings, reusing identical ones saves a significant amount of memory. Then we have immutability concept. Strings cannot change. Strings in Java are immutable. Once a string object is created, its content cannot be modified. So let's say you have created this string and now you want to modify this one, string equals to Python. Did we change this string? No, because we created this object previously, okay, and now we want to assign this one to that value. That means our Java will create separate object with this value in our heap and it will assign that reference to our S now. Okay. And if anyone does not point to this reference, then our garbage collector will collect this one. Okay. Did we change this string in this one? No, the original Java object was not modified. Java created Java in the pool. Java created Python in the pool and the variable s now points to Python instead of Java. And one more thing as well, every operation that seems to modify a string like concatenation, replacing characters, or maybe converting case, right, is actually creating a brand new string object and returning it. Now, why did Java design strings this way? So we have 2 reasons for that. First one is the string pool. Remember, multiple variables can point to the same string in the pool, okay? And if you could modify that shared object, you would accidentally change every variable pointing to it, right? And immutability makes sharing safe. Second, this one is very important, security. So strings are used for file paths, database URLs, and also class names. Okay, and if someone could modify a string after it's been validated, it would be a massive security hole. So our immutability prevents that. Now the comparison trap, double equals to versus dot equals method. So double equals compares memory addresses, are these the same object? And this one compares only content. So let's say we have 2 strings here and we are using literal way. That means this one goes to the string pool, and here our Java reuses the same pool instance. Okay. This one creates a new object on the heap. Now, if you want to compare two literals, this one, then you will get true because Java did not create new object for that one. Now, if you want to compare literal with the new object, this one, then you can do that. This time you will get false, different objects. Okay. Comparing content, this one will return true, same content. So we have one rule, never use double equals to for strings. Always use dot equals to compare string content. User input, database results, and deserialized data are often created as new objects. So double equals to will return false even when the text is identical. Now, what is deserialization and serialization? So you can skip that for now. Okay, we have dedicated topic for that, and we will discuss that in our file and input output topic. Okay, our next chapter is string methods. So we know that strings are objects. They come with a built-in set of methods for inspecting, transforming through text, and these are the most commonly used string methods in Java. So first one is inspection methods. These methods return information about a string. First one is length, returns the number of characters in the string. Okay, and this one will include your spaces and everything. So let's say we have name string algo arena. So we can print its length. We have one method dot length. Okay, and we will get output 9. Then we have char at index, returns the character at a specific position. We will start indexing from 0. Is empty versus is blank. Now let's see that. And what we can do is we can see our string one. In this one string, you can go here and you can see that this one is final. That means we cannot modify its value, and it implements serializable and comparable, char sequence, constable. We have here one more constructor. Okay, basically constructor overloading. Another one. And if you scroll down a little bit, then you will find some methods here, like caret is empty. This one will return boolean if your length is 0. Okay, we have length here. Then we have compare to. We have some important methods as well. Index, so you can check any character index. Then we have one very important method, which is substring. Okay, subsequence, concat, replace, contains, matches. This one is regex. Okay, and we will cover this one in our very later part of our series, like after concurrency in advanced types. Okay, we have split here. We have join to lowercase to uppercase. Okay, then we have trim as well, is blank. So is blank returns like if your string does not contain any characters as well as any spaces. Two char array, probably you have used this one in DSA. Okay, a lot. Value of, but as we just started, okay, we don't know what static is, what public is, so we will not understand JDK code for now too much. Okay, all right, so we can call these methods dot length, caret is empty versus is blank, checks if string has no content. Let's say we have one string s1 this one and string s2 which contain only spaces. So if you call is empty on s1, you will get true, right? Length is 0. But if you call is empty on s2, then you will get false because its length is 3. Spaces count. But if you call is blank on s2, then you will get true because our is blank does not count spaces. And this one we got in Java 11 only white space. Okay, I don't think we need code practice for that, but we can do something in search methods. So these methods locate content within a string. First method is contains, checks if a substring exists, okay, returns boolean. Let's say we have some string str that contains Java or not. So let's create that. We can create one string, let's say str, and we can put here something, okay. Now we can print something that is str dot contains what we want to check, Java. Return of str dot contains Java is always true, right? In this case, okay. And we have some other methods as well. So index of returns index of first occurrence and -1 if not found, okay. So str dot index of a, let's check that as well. Java programming now. What we want to print is str dot index of Java, okay. And let's say we have multiple Java here. First, no, this one is second, Java third, okay, Java fourth. We can print the index of this Java, right? Now what else we can do is we can print something that is not present in our string. So str dot index of, so we can pass here second argument. That means we will start counting after this index, okay. And this one is included as well, but for now here what we can do is we can print something, let's say Python, right? So what we can print here is starts with Java. So in this one we will get true. And what we can print is not this one, but this time we can go with ends with, okay. So in this one we will get false because our string is not ending with Java, but it is starting with Java. So in this one we will get true, okay. So we have some methods you can try. Convert our whole string to uppercase or lowercase, and that will be our transformation methods, okay. But let's check these for now. So this one will return 0, but let's say we want to start after some index, all right. So what we can do is index of Java, and let's say we want to start after index 5. Now if we compile this one and if we just run this one, so first one is str.contains Java. Yes, this one is true. Index of Java. So this string is starting from index 0. Okay. Let's say we want to start from index 5. This one is 0, 1, 2, 3. And on 5, we have one space. Okay. So we are starting from here, this space, and we got this index 17, right? So we got 17 here. Now str.index of Python, we don't have any, okay, this string. So we got here -1. Then we have str.starts with Java, true. Str.ends with Java, no, we are ending with fourth. Now let's see our transformation methods. Strings are immutable, okay. So none of these methods modify the original string. They all return a new string. You must assign the result to a variable if you want to keep the change, okay, or if you want to capture the change actually, right? We are not changing basically message. So what we can do is we can capture our value str2, maybe to uppercase is good, str2, and also we can print our str, okay. System dot out dot print, and let's not capture this time, str dot, and let's put some spaces here, otherwise we will not get system dot out dot println str dot replace. So we have here some different methods. First one is replace, like char, old char and new char. We can also replace one character, right? And we can also replace one string, so char sequence. And we have replaced all, string regex, string replacement, replace first. So let's go with replace all. all Java words with something else. Replace all. We can do something C++. Okay. Now we can compile this one and just run this one. So first one we got here str2, which is uppercase, like this first statement. Then we printed str as it is. Okay. So we are getting here space, so don't get confused. And then str.trim. So we trimmed our spaces and this output. Here we replaced our Java string with C++. Okay. And we can also replace here one character as well. So let's say we want to replace J with small j. Okay. Now let's run this one, compile that and just run this one. So capital J converted to small j, right? So you can test some more methods. Let's move to our next method, which is substring. So substring extracts a portion of a string. It has two forms: substring start, from start index to the end. Okay. And if we pass two arguments, then second one is exclusive. So from start up to, but not including end. Okay. So first one is substring 3. We will start from index 3, which is index 3 is B. Okay. So we will get burger. And then we have part 2, which is substring from 0 to 3. 3 is exclusive, so we will only get 0, 1, and 2. Now we have one exception here, string index out of bound exception. If you request an index that is out of range, like s.substring 50, Java throws a string index out of bounds exception at runtime. Okay. And like I mentioned, these will return new string. So you must capture if you want to do something with that result. Now we have quick preference, get the length, get a character at index, compare content, compare ignoring case, then check for substring, find portion of substring, extract a portion, and remove surrounding white space. Okay, dot frame. I guess we are good. And now let's proceed to our next chapter, which is mutable string.